The alarm blared through the silence of 3 a.m., a harsh wake-up call to a nightmare. Elias stared at the red numbers pulsing in the dark, each beat like a countdown to ruin. His phone screen suddenly exploded with light, a relentless barrage of notifications. The company had collapsed. His accounts were frozen. The legal notices were piling up in his inbox like digital tombstones. He sat on the edge of the bed, his hands trembling as the weight of the world pressed against his chest. The enemy expected him to break right here. The darkness gathered in the corners of the room, hungry and waiting for his surrender. He could feel the panic rising, a cold tide of confusion and hopelessness trying to anchor him to that floor. Everything he had built was turning into dust before his eyes. But Elias did not reach for his phone to call a lawyer. He did not pace the floor in a frantic circle. Instead, his hand found the worn leather of his Bible on the nightstand. He opened the pages to Philippians chapter 4, the words, "A lifeline in the shadows." He knelt by the bed, his knees pressing into the cold hardwood floor, a humble posture in the face of a giant. He folded his hands and began to pray. He did not beg. He listed his requests with a steady, unwavering voice. He did something the world would call madness. He began to thank God for the very breath he took in that stifling room. Each word of gratitude was a strike against the fear trying to consume his mind. He chose the altar over the abyss. By 5 a.m., the chaos outside had not subsided. The creditors were still calling, and the future remained a terrifying blur of uncertainty. Yet Elias stood up and made a pot of coffee. His movements were deliberate, slow, and strangely calm when his business partner burst through the front door, frantic and shouting about the impending bankruptcy. Elias did not flinch. He simply poured a second cup of coffee and pushed it across the table. "Drink this," his eyes seemed to say. He did not match the partner's shouting. He did not mirror the frantic pacing. He sat down and waited for the silence to settle like a heavy blanket. The partner stopped mid-sentence, visibly confused by the stillness in the room. This was the true spiritual warfare. It wasn't fought in boardrooms, but in the quiet of the soul. Every minute Elias chose to pray instead of spiraling into anxiety, the darkness retreated another inch. The peace of God acted like a physical wall, a divine shield protecting his mind from the wreckage of his career. It was a peace that the circumstances could not explain, a quiet strength that defied the logic of ruin. He was not a man losing everything. He was a man who had already found what could never be taken away. By noon, the legal team arrived to deliver the final blow. They expected to find a man crushed by defeat, but they found Elias organizing his files with a clear expression. He had turned his fear into a weapon of faith. The enemy tried to break him, but the peace remained, sharp and immovable. He took a deep breath and began to speak. He had survived the storm before it even reached the shore.